I am autistic. I got Asperger's. I was diagnosed when I was 14. So obviously back in the day, in the 90s, it was very, very different. We had no internet. We had no resources, even for autistic people or for Black autistic people or ethnic minorities. So like things growing up was really, really difficult. I think one of the earliest memories my parents told me was basically, I was playing in the playground and then basically my childminder used to, because we had a childminder, so she used to take me to the park on my lunch times and then take me back to class because the head teacher thought I was posing a threat to the kids because apparently I was acting like a lunatic. Apparently so. So yeah, I've suffered racial and discrimination for my disability, but like I think that only makes you stronger. And I think from these negative experiences, I think I was talking this earlier with the guys, I think you just have to use it as a positive, not a negative. Yeah, negative things do happen. I mean, like just the other day, I had a racial interaction with someone in the shop. And the shop people was racist to me. So I was in my bed for about 3 days, but like I got out the funk. I went for a walk today and I just said to myself, okay, I got to do this talk for Vanessa because she really wants me to do this talk. And my voice is very important because I do a lot of public speaking. I've done a lot of things around the autistic community and stuff. So I think it's very important for people to do that. So I just got myself out of this funk. I said, I'm not going to let these people get to me. And I think I reverted back to all the incidents I had when I was diagnosed with autism, with Asperger's. The people that I've met in the lifetime that I had with Asperger's that suffered the same prejudice and hate and confusion from normal people. So I just have to look at it as a positive now and not a negative because I'm in my 30s now. So I've been there, done that. So anybody that needs advice on that, just try and see it in that way. It's going to be very, very hard because I think I'm a very sensitive soul and I don't like hatred or don't like discrimination, but it's going to happen regardless. So I just think you have to look at it in that sense. So, and I think the most important thing for me is to say this is, so when I was 18, I had the opportunity to leave and do what I wanted to do because I was an adult. So I really wanted to perform. So I was in expressive arts. So I do art and design and I do performing arts as well. So I was doing both at college. I went to stage school, graduated, did a lot of performing, did some musicals, did some acting, did some singing, did a lot of dance. I did the Paralympic opening ceremony in 2012. That was amazing. Still got my costume. Might go for it later, you know what I'm saying, get some money. So I did a lot of that. Got into fitness in the last 5 years. So I'm a fitness guru now. I still perform. So I think the next step for my journey is this. So I've done all this discrimination thing. I've done all the speeches. I'm an activist. I think for me now, it's just being an entrepreneur and doing things for myself because I feel like, yes, I have a voice. I've overcome a lot of prejudice, a lot of discrimination, and a lot of hard times from a lot of people because a lot of people said, I can't do this. I won't do this. I will not do this. You're too uneducated. You're too disabled. You're too this. You're too that. You're too Black. So like, again, I think that's things proving people wrong, but I don't need to prove anybody wrong anymore because I've done it and I've got the proof. I've got the list. I've got the CV. I've got the resume. I've got the encyclopedia. I've got the YouTube channel. I've got the Instagram channel. I've got the Facebook channel. I've got the whole damn channel. You know what I'm saying? So I've got everything that proves that I've done it all, and I don't need to prove anything to anybody but myself now. So I think the next thing for me now is this. Just working on my business since COVID. Before COVID, I was very stressed. I was very depressed. Had a lot of anxiety. I was working a lot. I wasn't sleeping a lot. I wasn't getting enough rest. And I wasn't looking after myself. And I think the most important thing is to look after yourself and your health. Yes, I work in the gym and I get a lot of exercise, but I wasn't really taking care of myself. So and I was worried about income and stuff, as you probably would do. It's just a really uncertain time. And then I think as the weeks, progressed on, and I kind of reverted back into myself, and I was kind of having time for myself, I realized a lot of things, and I think it's a lot of things. Damn, I can actually do a lot of stuff, and I've got time to do this now. I don't need to travel to this place or that place. Luckily I got a big, massive backyard, and I got stuff. So I invested all my time buying equipment to start my YouTube channels, my Instagram, my Facebook, businesses for my fitness, my yoga and my Pilates. So I got all the equipment now. I got a stand, I got a microphone, so I can do that. And then now the next phase is to do and launch my next business venture. So I'm just looking at it as an opportunity now to just venture out and do the next phase and stuff. And I just kind of want to advise everybody on this panel, and anybody that's got anybody in their family who are autistic, or anybody they know that was autistic, they can do anything they want. I literally sent a Nigerian immigrant. I met him in 2013 at Leicester. I was doing a speech there. He graduated, went to university, graduated, got a 2-1. I can't remember what it was. He got it in, but he saw my speech and he was inspired by it to go and do that. I never thought in a million years someone would be inspired by what I say to go and do something, but they did. And it's just proof in the pattern that, you know, you can do anything that you want, but it's just your mindset, and it's just your own insecurities, that if someone's going to tell you no, you say you can do it. You tell them, yes, I can. And that's what I kind of wanted to say tonight to all of you. So don't listen to any of this BS that people are saying, that you can't do this, you can't do that because you're autistic. It's rubbish. Rubbish, I tell you. Rubbish. So if you want to be a business person, if you want to be a manager, if you want to have your own design company, if you want to be a musician, you want to release an album, you want a gig, if you want to be like my man, what's his name? Don, if you want that stand-up comedy thing at the comedy store in London, do it, dude. You could do anything. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't, because you know what? You've got to trust you, yourself, and I. Done. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Orlando. Yeah. We are going
Thank you so much for that. I have to apologise for going blank there, because while you were starting your talk, I noticed my 10-year-old step off the step in the garden and trip over and hit his head. So I didn't. It was like I was there and I was there. But what an amazing story, testimony. I'd like to connect with you, bro.
Yeah, man.
I really would.
You know what I'm saying?
I really would, man.
Add me. I'm more than happy. I think I got some ads during the speech. Some impression I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's good.
Hope you want to say something, please.
Can I just say that, V, like, your story really resonated with me as a fellow performing artist as well. Like, the thing that crushes us as autistics is like the neurotypical world telling us that we can't do anything. You know what I'm saying? And it really pisses me off. I know I can't but like, just keep going, man, and link up with you.
Do you know what can I say? I'm going to add on something quickly. With that, I think the performing arts is a very, very interesting thing because of social interaction.
Yeah, it is.
Because that's another trait that the tribe of impairment that autistic people struggle with. That's why I wanted to do it, because I wanted to get out of my bubble, because I was not as bubbly as like you see me on thing. I mean, I can't shut the hell up now, but like, but you know, like that's why I wanted to do it. That's why I wanted to go to stage school and learn my craft, you know, and be on stage and just be in front of people. Because yes, I love the performing arts. I love to sing, dance, and act and whatever. But I think enough thing for me was to bring myself out, my personality, and being myself. Yeah. And I just encourage a lot of autistic people to go, not just to do performing arts, but like try and get into more groups out of social, because I think the more that they get the voice out, and we need to hear more voices, man. And I'm really, I applaud Jasmine for speaking up as a young person with the condition. So well done, baby girl.
Thank you.
I'll just say something.
We were running out. Is everything okay? Go on then, Don.
I was going to say, yeah, it was great to see other performing artists. The problem is, we see more Black and Asian faces on TV, but not enough autistics. And when they make the television programs, most of the people behind the scenes are white, middle class. So we need more representation. That's all.
Well, you lot are here now, so I think Paul can probably be doing something.
You know, by virtue, just like Vanessa said, by virtue of us hearing the voices is how we change things. And what's really important, what you said there, Orlando, is I love the part about pushing through. You know, when the odds are against you, that's when you become your greatest. So some people give up, some normal people give up, but it's really good and refreshing to hear stories of overcoming, pushing through, and actually doing what you want to do with your life. Because who is anybody to put a title on you?
And it's okay to take a little 3 days or 3 seconds just to have time to yourself, just to reconnect and just get back into your groove, because no one's going to take that away. Who's allowed to tell you that? No one's allowed to tell you that. Like, I took 3 days away, so I'm depressed about this whole racism thing that I suffered, but like I came back and I'm talking here today, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I've throughout my life I've suffered all sorts of racism, you know, horrendous racism. To overcome it and actually survive in a society now where I think pretty much, despite all what's going on, there are opportunities. You know, so it's all about the mindset. It's all about what you want from your life, and it really is about not paying too much attention to the labels that other people give you.
Yeah,
know
and
yourself.
If they do, ladies and gentlemen, if they do, call me. It's 999.
I'll get Don to write a script.
Can I just add, before we move on to the next speaker, we had someone called Thomas Govan who has said that he hosts a meetup group with a few other organisers called Informal Adults for Autistic Adults on the Meetup app for adults to socialise and meet new people on the spectrum. So there's places to go, which is really, really good.
We're going to send out the information to everybody that logged in. I know there's a lot of people trying to get in, but for some reason they're not able to log in. But like I said, we are going to be doing some more of these. I just think we just needed a bit of a taster so everybody can, you know, when I say to somebody, why don't you get that person? Who's that? So now nobody could say now they don't know who everybody is, because we've had a taste of everybody's life experiences. The next person we're going to bring on, is it Laurie Morgen?
Yeah, that's me.
Go on, Laurie.
Hello.
Hi.
Right, okay. Oh, I'm live. And as I predicted earlier, just as I start my talk, I'm going to start getting pestered by pets. And I've got the dog that really wants to come on my lap, and I'm in no way. I want to talk a little bit about how I'm getting through COVID, because I just typically autistically took it quite literally and thought, yeah, I'm going to talk about how I'm getting through COVID. Like probably a lot of other autistic people, not masses, has actually changed. Not being a social person, not having lots of people to go out and party with or anything like that, didn't really actually make an awful lot of difference to me. I'd been off sick from my day job since December anyway, so I'd been pretty much locked down. I'd been having a few mental health issues, and I just couldn't face going to my day job, so therefore I'd been off anyway. So when lockdown came along, I was already there, so I've probably been locked down a little bit longer than most of you guys have anyway. I've been getting through it mainly by focusing on family, focusing on my pets, because some days I just wouldn't open my mouth and say a single word to anybody. So I have these random conversations in the garden with my pets. Obviously, it's a bit one-sided because they don't really answer back. But they really do help, because they help to keep me out of myself. I've got something else to think about. And That's something that I found when my youngest son was very small. So we actually got a dog, and it wasn't just me and him anymore. We'd got something to think about, something to plan for. Where are we taking the dog today? And we planned days out for the dog. It made us into a family because I've been bringing him up on my own. And for people who are talking about, like I know Melissa did, like there's not a lot out there for Black autistic people. There isn't much out there either talking about autistic people in the role of parent. And there's a great deal of need for that because there are so many autistic myths out there that are really putting our family life in danger. There is no reason why autistic people can't make outstanding parents. And it was so good to hear Melissa because she's clearly one of them. I like to think that I've not done too much of a bad job. Now, I was actually diagnosed before my children were, and that's not because I was diagnosed young. It's because my son's special needs weren't actually recognised. It was under the veil of struggling single parent. You know, if I had a fiver for every professional who tipped their head to one side and said in that very nice, sweet voice, but it's not easy bringing up a child on your own, is it? I wouldn't need to work again, I'm sure I wouldn't. Because that's all I got. So if it's not the colour of your skin, it's the something else. People will, in my experience, find an excuse, anything other than see the reason, the real reason that we're struggling. They'll see they'll see that you're a struggling single parent. They'll maybe see that you're a black person. They'll maybe see that English isn't your first language. They'll maybe see your age. I've had people dismissed because, oh well, it's because you had your children when you were older. You know, you're overcompensating because you waited so long. There's always going to be something there. Now, my son went to a special school. He was kicked out of 3 infant schools. He was that kid who was trying to run away. He was that kid climbing the school gates. He was that kid throwing chairs across the classroom. He was that kid hiding under desks. He was the kid who stabbed somebody in the hand with a fork. He was the kid who bit the headmaster on his wrist and left teeth marks. He was the kid that people said, don't bring him back, he's dangerous. And every single professional I went round just saw the fact that I was a single parent, and it's not easy bringing up a child on your own, is it? So I had that obstacle to overcome. It was only because I did research. My son had to go back into mainstream to do GCSEs, and I decided to do some research. I did not want another school placement to fail. I didn't want him repeating history by having somebody say, don't come back. And it was only when I did all the research that I realised that I was autistic and I needed to get diagnosed because I could see that it ran in families. That was part of what my research told me. So that if I get diagnosed, it'll help my son. But not just my son, my older son. Because I recognised the traits in every single one of us and in my wider family. And that's exactly what happened. And as soon as I got diagnosed, I realised I didn't want other people to suffer and to go through the same kind of struggles that I had. And that's why I went on this mission to help other people so they didn't have to suffer, so that their pain could have purpose, so that their despair meant something, so that there was hope instead of hopelessness. And as a result of that, you know, the many things that have happened, because my son is one of the most inspirational people that you'll come across, because life's thrown him so many curveballs, it's unreal. And this is why autism needs to be recognised in parents, and that particularly autistic mothers, we're at a higher risk of actually having our children removed because of what people think they know about autism. They think we lack empathy, they think we don't care, they think we're incapable of showing love. But I've seen it from at least one other parent here today, one other autistic mother, and that's Melissa, that we can make incredibly loving parents, we can make amazingly wonderful parents. And people need to know this, because if people are going, these professionals are going on what they think they know about autism, our children will continue to be taken off us. And we're going to be denied our right to be parents, and our children are going to be denied the right of being brought up with their birth families simply because of the misconceptions that are out there. And we need to have this challenged. The voice of the autistic parent needs to be heard, and it needs to be heard loudly, because we too, as autistic parents, need justice. And our children growing up need to have the hope that they can become parents as well. Now, through his long journey, my son became a father. Both of my autistic sons are now fathers. I have a baby granddaughter who's 13, 14 months old now. My youngest son 6 weeks ago became a father to a newborn for the first time. He's taken on parental responsibility of 2 older children, his stepchildren. And I tell you now, he's been amazing with them. Their own birth father isn't on the scene. He's got incredibly warm, loving relationships with them. He's so positive towards them. Autistic people can be great parents. We can grow up and get jobs. We can graduate from university. While people are only ever looking at autism as a list of deficits, they're setting the bar of expectation very low. And like Orlando said, don't let it happen to you. You can achieve stuff. You can do things that other people do. You'll do it in your way. You'll do it in your fantastic autistic style. Have hope. Go out and achieve stuff. You can do amazing, wonderful things. Yes, we're in lockdown. Yes, we're a little bit limited to how much we can go out, how much we can physically do. All of my speaking engagements have been cancelled. But what I have been able to do is market and put my book out there. Because during the lockdown, my book was published. I'm just going to turn I don't know whether I can turn my video off right now, but I had a book published not so long ago, the 30th of April it came out, and it's about my journeys and my experiences as an autistic parent. There's so little out there. Any autistic person will find stuff to relate to in there. It's not a book about autism. It's not a book about parenting. It's not a book about being an autistic person. It's part of my journey. It's a story that needs to be told. I almost lost my son when he was a baby. He was almost taken off me and adopted. It's social services and people in care and support services need to read this book. You need to see that autistic lives matter, that autistic people can do stuff, and forget all of those stereotypes that you've learned from textbooks. Listen to autistic people, listen to autistic lives. I'm happy to take questions. I'll put my contact details in the chat box when I've stopped talking. I'm happy to take questions. I'm happy to help anybody else on their journey as an autistic person, on their journey as an autistic parent. because that's my why in life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laurie. Laurie has been with me from 2012, and I can say she's been a great support. Laurie met my daughter at that time, and she said, my youngest one, Michaela, when she met obviously Nathaniel as well, that she's autistic, it took my daughter, as you can know, 2017, 2018, when she got diagnosed with autism, ADHD, epilepsy. So again, when people keep on saying, don't accept the label, I've seen the damage that has been caused when children in primary school have been denied the support. So thank you, Laurie, for just being who you are, always supporting in the background. So I thank you.
I have to clap you and commend you on a wonderful insight. Listening to you there, I resonated so much with what you were saying, and even though I'm not autistic, I can fully understand now. And maybe you should send me a copy of that book. Actually, I'm just plugging you for a free copy, which I will read and actually use, because I think that your story is like any other story here tonight. It's just amazing hearing it on this platform. And I think if this is this being recorded?
Yes, it is recorded.
Because so many people can learn from these stories. I'm looking at the comments, and professionals need to be watching this type of comment. This content here is where they should learn from it. You know, yeah. Real life experiences from real people. I think it's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
On that note, we do have a question, Laurie, which says, as an autistic social worker for families myself, what can we do more of to support autistic parents and parents of autistic children?
I need to listen.
I've just unmuted myself again. Can you read the question back to me, because that was an awful lot. Remember, yeah. I'm autistic, only take so much in at a time. Please repeat the question.
So it says, as an autistic social worker for families myself, what can we do more of to support autistic parents or parents of autistic children?
Listen.
Listen to them.
Listen.
Listen. Yeah, listen. Take on board that as an autistic person. Can I say to this, I'm talking to the person who asked the question. I can't see who asked the question because I can't do two things at once. So as an autistic person yourself, you'll have the best insight into the kind of struggles that we go through. As an autistic parent, we need to be heard as well, because autistic adults very often have autistic children also. And we know that often autistic children are diagnosed and then their parents recognise the traits in themselves. So if you're dealing with a parent of autistic children, clearly you must remember that parent may also be autistic. And they may not understand a lot of the jargon that gets put out there and that gets used by professionals. A lot of it. I was told, for instance, my baby had a non-accidental head injury. And I thought, okay. I thought non-accident is like a non-event. And that's what I saw it as. So it's a non-accidental injury. That means he hasn't had an accident. That means that he's ill. He'll get better. He'll go home. There's all this stuff. The way people use language isn't the way we use language. The way other people understand situations isn't the way we understand situations. And we can get, like I describe in my book, deeper and deeper and deeper in till the consequences are potentially catastrophic, because language isn't being used the way that we understand language being used, and information isn't being given to us the way that we understand information. There are a lot of those unwritten rules, a lot of those things that we find that we're playing a game and nobody told us the rules. You have to remember that, how we appreciate and receive information isn't necessarily the way that you would expect other people to. And our responses are almost invariably going to be different. And we have to remember that those responses are different. They're not necessarily harmful. We live out different kinds of lives. They're not necessarily harmful. If you look at autism as a culture, people find that a lot easier to actually conceptualize, because we do live in a multicultural society. We don't expect somebody from a culture that isn't the same as ours to deal with things the same way that we do. Now, when we start to look at that and start to appreciate autism in a cultural concept, it becomes far less scary. So try doing that, see what difference it makes. You can get back to me with questions if you wish, because I'll be happy to answer those. Is that helpful?
Really great, thank you. We just have one more question. Is your book out already?
Yes, it's out already. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it through Waterstones, you can order copies through me, and I'll send you a personally signed copy with a little message inside.
Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you.
And it's wherever you are in the world, if there's an Amazon, you can actually buy my book. But it is quick. I was looking today. It's going to take you at least a week and a half to get it from Amazon. You can have it from me by however long it takes Amazon to get it to you, much quicker. However long it takes the post office to get it to you. It is called Travelling by Train, The Journey of an Autistic Mother, and that's how you spell my name. If you spell it right, it pretty much comes up straight away.
Wonderful. And if I could just say one thing from a gentleman here, Ken Greaves, who he just says that there are professionals who get it and are proactive in diagnosing adults, particularly women who are parents. Dr. Ken Greaves. And there are also people who that do share those sentiments. So it is out there, and it is important, to recognise where it is the pockets of that are available and out there in awareness. So thank you so much, Laurie, as well.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that all professionals are the same, because there are some fantastic people out there. I've got a friend who works for CAMS in Nottingham. She's a psychiatrist to children and young people, and she's amazing. There are some fantastic people out there, and hats off to them.
And
There's more of you.
I don't feel that Laurie should even have to explain that. She's not implying that all professionals are the same. I feel like this is the wrong space for somebody to say, well, what about me? Because that's almost like the argument that we're currently having with Black Lives Matter, and then people come in and say, well, all lives matter. When we talk about our lived experience, it's our lived experiences. We are not talking about everybody. So although I can understand probably for Ken as a professional, he may feel that the profession gets a bad name, but we can only talk from what we've seen and what we've experienced. So yeah.
Thank you. Just to let you know, Ken Greaves is Black and he's a doctor, and Ken Greaves is one of the top specialists in the UK